So my voice is audible to everybody. Is it breaking now? No, okay, thanks a lot. So now I will be creating one one workflow. Here you can see one undefined step. Just right click on it. First I need to make one container element, so I'm just double clicking on it to create one container element, and I'm just providing the name of the container element as the level, and I'm just giving type as char1. Sorry. In the properties tab, I'm just selecting the import export parameter. So I've created one container element. Now I will be creating the loop step. As I was discussing yesterday that the work item will be sent 3 times. So I'm just creating the loop step. Here you can give anything in the step name, just a name which can actually tell you what you're doing in this particular loop step. You in the expression, I'm just choosing this level as an expression, and I'm giving it as the greater than, equal to, greater than, suppose 3. So here if this particular one is not greater than 3, 1 is greater than 3, false, then the loop will pass, then 2 is greater than 3, false, then the loop will pass, 3 is greater than 3, then again the loop will pass, 4 is greater than 3, true, then the loop will end. So 3 times I will be receiving the work item. As long as the loop condition results to be false, you will be getting the work item. So within this loop, I will be creating one user decision step. Here I'm just selecting one dynamic parameter. In dynamic parameter, I am just binding it with the level which we have in the container element. So pressing F4, you will be getting that particular level container element. So what will happen, like suppose if I am having here &1, &2, &3, &4. So for &1, the parameter 1 value will get populated. If you have &2, then the parameter 2 will get populated. If &3, then parameter 3, and if &4, parameter 4. So this is how you can actually dynamically populate the data at runtime in the work item text. So this is the title. It actually appears in the inbox of the user. So whatever you will be writing here, it will be shown in the inbox of the user as a work item. So to make it more dynamic, I have just created as one dynamic variable as &1, and I have binded that &1 this one with this parameter 1. So whatever the value having at runtime in this particular element, the value will get populated in the title. So in expression, I'm just selecting as workflow initiator, and in decision, I'm providing as approve. Just click on enter. Save the workflow, give the abbreviation. Save it as local object. Now below the user decision, I will be creating one container operation step. Just right click on it, select the container operation step. Here give the increment. I'm just giving the step name as the increment. If you are selecting this step not in workflow log, then that this particular container operation won't be appearing in the log which we actually navigate to SWIA, then this particular step won't be visible to you. Then result will be, again just click on F4. Here I'm just incrementing the value of level by 1. So if you press F4, you will be getting the pop-up where each element appears. In assignment, you can see we are having multiple operations, so I'm just selecting addition. In expression 2, here you can either give the constant or you can either have the dynamic value. So the main idea behind this particular scenario is the loop will rotate 3 times and I will be receiving this work item 3 times. I've activated it and I'm just trying to test it. In level, okay, I'm sorry, I would have given the default value first. Let's give the default value. As I have already told you, in container operation you can give the initial value as the default value. I'm providing it as a 1. Save and activate it. And now I will test it. You can either give the default value or it's your wish. Okay, so it's not mandatory to give. Now I'm just executing it. Going to the business workplace. In the workflow tab, let us see what we have received. We have received one work item saying step loop 1. From where this 1 came? This is the dynamic value, as we have binded as ampersand 1 with the level. So we are getting this dynamic value because now the level contains the value as 1. Once you execute it, let's execute. You can see here again we have received one work item because the loop has evaluated the condition as false, and again the loop passes, and then again that work item, that user decision step got executed and we have received this work item, but the container operation has already incremented this value, so it is coming as step loop 2. Again I will execute this. The condition was loop the level should be greater than 3. So again I have received this step loop 3. Again I will execute it. Now I won't receive. Why? Because it has turned to 4. I'm just refreshing it. You can see I'm just refreshing. So now the level has turned out to be 4 and 4 is greater than 3. It is true, and then the loop has ended and the workflow has got completed. So let us see the log so that you can understand in a more better way. I'm moving to the technical log. See, first one is the mother one, this JED loop 1. This was the abbreviation which I gave for the workflow. Then step loop 1, this particular work item got executed, and when it got executed, the container operation has actually incremented the value, and then this step loop 2, then step loop 3, and then the increment was done. Now I will be seeing the container element, the level, what is the current value that the level is holding. You can see the level is holding the value as 4. So that's the reason the condition got true. So now let us see the graphic as well. When you click on this graphic, you can see the graphic total picture of the workflow which we have built. The green line shows you how the workflow has actually executed, and you can see here green line, it has moved 3 times and then the workflow has finally ended. So this is how this loop behaves. Now I am the person who is receiving this work item 3 times, but when once I go through this agent assignment, I will show you how multiple person can receive the work item also dynamically. So I will be showing you that. So till this, any doubt on this? So yesterday, whoever have not understood, I have discussed it again. So any doubt on this loop concept? I just want you to make clear with this loop concept what we are having in workflow. Fine. So I will be creating again one new workflow to show you the condition step and the multiple condition step. Let me create one container element as a sales order. Now I'm just saving it. So in container you can see one variable, one element has been created as sales order. Now I will be creating one condition step. Here I'm just giving the step name and I'm just clicking on this particular statement. Click here to create a new condition. I'm just double clicking on it to provide the expression. I want that when this sales order is equal to 1, 2 or 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 4, then something should happen like true and false. It is similar to if and else condition what we have in ABAP and C++. So you just need to provide the condition. This can also be dynamic. What I have provided as the constant 3454. If you have one more element present in the container, you can just see the you can just bind that particular element with the this condition step. So now here I will be creating one user decision step again. Yes, Hitesh?
Yeah, the screen was refreshing very slow, and there was no voice for a few minutes in between.
But
How
I can see here the screen is getting refreshed very fast. Like in the audience view what I am having here, I can see it's getting very fast. Uh,
I didn't see how you created that condition. What you did in that condition step.
Condition step.
Yeah, I did not see that exactly.
In the loop one or this particular condition step in the workflow, the second
No,
workflow?
second one.
Okay.
This one. Second
This,
workflow.
now you can see the workflow screen, right?
Right, yeah.
So I'm just double clicking on it. Now you can see the screen with the step name.
Mm-hmm.
So I have created one condition, sales order is equal to 3454. Let me double click on it again.
Okay.
Now you can see the screen with this expression, right?
No?
So I have just double click on the sales order, and in the operator as equal to I have double click on it, and in the constant I have provided this 3454. Here in the constant I have provided 3454. So here you can give the dynamic value also. Either you can give the constant or double click on any of the element present in the container, and then that particular element will get binded with this expression 2. So you can just make it more dynamic, but now for now I'm just making a condition as whenever sales order is 3454, then this condition should evaluate to true. So I have just made that condition, and here in true I have made true as the outcome, and in false I have made false as the outcome.
The true and false comes by default, right?
Yeah, correct. You will be getting two branches, one will be true and one will be false. This two branches is by default because in if else we are having two branches. So here you can see in toolbar, I am just placing this cursor. You can see true, and I am placing the cursor here, then you can see the false. So you can do anything, whatever you want to create, any step in this two branch you can create. Suppose in true branch I want to create one user decision step. I'm just creating it so that you can come to know this step got executed. Step true. So now the screen, I can see the screen is getting refreshed, Hitesh. I don't know how your...
Yeah, screen is okay, refreshing now. But in between it was like...
No, actually, in fact, I was not navigating the screen, means, maybe, but I can see because I'm just checking that screen simultaneously so that I can also come to know whether the screen is getting refreshed or not. But now I can see the screen is getting refreshed very fast. So, okay, Hitesh. Now here I have created one true step. In the true branching, I have created one user decision step which says that the step is true, and now I will be creating one false user decision step. You can create anything according to the requirement. So I have created one condition step and two user decision step. One is true branch and one in false branch. So I'm just activating it. Now I'm just trying to test. First I will be giving the true value as 34. I think the value was 3454. 3454. So I'm just executing. Going to the business workplace. Let us see what we have received. We have received the work item saying step true. It means the true step has got executed. So here, if I'm taking action, the workflow will get completed because nothing we have defined in the workflow after that. Now I will show you how this false step get executed. In this, I'm not providing the sales number as a 3454, rather I will be providing some different number. You can see here, okay, I'm sorry, I have not shown you that particular step. Let me show you the false step first. Going to the business workplace. In sales order number, I have given the value 345. I have not given the value as 3454, rather I have given some different value. So that particular condition step will actually evaluate the condition as the false because it's not 3454, and I will be receiving the work item saying the step false. So this is how your condition step behaves. So any doubt on this condition step? Okay, so now I will be discussing about this multiple condition step. This multiple condition is very much similar to the case end case. In if else we can have only two branching, but in multiple case we can have more than two branching. I'm just going fast with these three because I have already discussed, so you would be at least somewhat familiar with this particular step, but since the connection was not that good, so you may have missed some part. Also you will, I think you will be getting access to the, whoever is having access to the website will be getting access to the current recordings, so that again you can go through it. Okay, first we will have to create one container element. I'm just creating one container element. Now I'm saving it. Now I'm creating one multiple condition step. Right click on it, you will be getting one pop-up. You can select multiple condition. From there, give the step name. Comparison basis, you will give the expression, the dynamic variable. I'm giving as a sales order. So I'm just writing 1, 2, 3, 4. Then outcome will be case 1. Here you can provide any dynamic value depending upon the requirement. So 2, 3, 4, 5, case 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, case 3. Here also in value you can provide any dynamic value. So here you can see 3 branching. I have got 3 branching. You can have more. Since I have defined only case 3, so you can have n number of. So in case 1, I will be creating one user decision step. I will be creating only one so that you can, from this only you can come to know whether the case has got executed or not. Whatever you will define within this branching, based on that condition, the step will get executed. So here in toolbar you can see case 1. So in case 1 I have defined this user decision step. So in case 1 I was having the value as 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will be providing 1, 2, 3, 4 as a sales order number. Then that particular case will get executed and the resulting branches and the steps which are defined in that branch will get executed. I have given 1, 2, 3, 4 as a value. Now I will show in business workplace. Here you can see I have received one work item as case 1. So it means case 1 has got executed. So any doubt on this multiple condition? So everybody is clear with this multiple condition step, loop step, container operation step, user decision step. 5 step I have already discussed. Also I have discussed the activity step in which I have defined one method called save sales order, and that particular step, that particular activity was responsible to save the sales order in the database. So I have already discussed with you 5 to 6 steps. Now I will be discussing with you the form step. So let us see what is this form step. Suppose there is a requirement in the company that the customer don't want the standard screen. Like once you click on this case one, let us see what is a standard screen. So you can see here this particular screen is the standard screen. So customer don't want this standard screen, rather he want the custom screen. So for approving and rejecting the particular sales order, purchase order, whatever. So just to provide the standard screen in workflow, you can have 2 or 3 options. First option is you can use the form. Form is module pool programming. In module pool you will be designing the whole screen, and then that screen will be binded with this workflow, and whenever the user click on that particular work item, then that screen will get appear, and then he can take the corresponding action, and on that action you will have to provide the logic. I will be showing you everything in this form. So this is what this is what the customer, if customer requires, then you have to design this workflow using form. Second one is you can sorry, you can take the help of WebGen Pro if WebGen Pro supported, and if client has that particular software installed, or in your company if you have this WebGen Pro as well, then you can launch the WebGen Pro screen from the work item as well. So that also I will be showing you in some further classes. So there, once you click on that work item, WebGen Pro will be launched, and there you can take the action, approve or reject. So you can customize the screen in this way. First one is the form, and the second one is WebGen Pro screen. So first I will show you how to customize the screen using the form. So the prerequisite to create the form step is you need to have the structure, one structure in your workflow container. So for that you will have to build one structure, and that structure will be actually binded with that form, and that form will be opened with the help of that structure. So first what I have to do, first I will be creating one table. So in SC11 I will be creating one table. So here in delivery class I'm choosing as A. I hope you people know how to create the table. So what I'm trying to do is, the scenario is I will be creating one table. This is LG test work 6, and in workflow I will be building one form, and the person will be receiving the work item. Once he click on that work item, one custom screen will get open with the sales order number and approve and reject button, and once I take the action as approve, then that particular sales order number will get saved in the database. So this is how I just want this particular simple scenario. So in the fields, I'm just writing as WebBlend. I hope you people know how to create the table. So I have activated it. Okay, fine. So my table is ready with one field called Veblen, and this table name is ztestwork6. So in this table I will be using this table as a structure as well. I will be saving the sales order in this particular table. So what I have to do next is I will be building one workflow. So here I will be creating one new workflow. First, you will have to create one structure. As I told you, in workflow container, you should have one structure before creating one form. So suppose I'm having the structure as ztestwork6. I'm taking the same structure as the table. Okay, I will again have to refresh this SWDT because I have created in the same session. Okay, it is not active actually. Okay, let us see. Yes, it is. I have forgot to activate the table. Now, so I have created one structure similar to the table. Now I'm saving it. Before creating form, you should save the workflow. I have saved it. Now right click on it, this undefined step, and choose the form step. You can see in a pop-up there are a number of steps. Within that, choose the form step. You can give anything. I'm giving as form display. In expression, I'm choosing as workflow initiator. Here you can see in form there are number of icons available: create, display, change, delete. So I'm just clicking on this create. The wizard will get open. There you have to navigate through it. I'm just clicking on this continue button in the form. Okay, you can give anything in this form name. You can see here I'm having one structure called gtestwork6 which I have created in workflow container. So if you have more than one structure, you can just select out of those at least one. So you have chosen, suppose this is the only one which I have created, so I'm just pressing the continue and I'm just completing the widget and I'm saving it as the local object. So in the form, the name of the form gets appear. In the container element, the gtestwork6 which was a structure got appear. Now what I will do, first activate the workflow. Now again I'm moving to this form. First go to the change mode. Let me show you the form. So you can see here form, you can see the sales document number. So how this got appear, because I have binded it with the structure, and that structure actually contains only one element as WebLen, and that structure was referring to the table, and table was having only one field. So if you have more than one field, if each field will get appear here in the mod in this particular form. So now what I will do, I will create one button called approve. So the scenario was, once the user clicks on this approve button, the sales order number which get appear over here should get saved in the database. So you have to provide the name and the text. Now double click on this particular button and give the function code as APRV. Now save it. I have clicked on this push button, so I have just selected this push button and I have created one button over here. I have given this function code. I have given this function code because if I don't give this function code, I won't be able to write the code for this particular button. So if you want to write some logic for this particular button, you need to give this function code. So you just remember this function code because we will be using it in the code. Now I'm just activating this particular module pool. Activate it, go back. Okay, again I will have, actually I forgot to write the logic. I was supposed to write the logic for that approve button as well. Go to the flow logic. In export data, why? Because action will be taken and the process after input will be called. So once the action is taken, process after input is called, and this module export data will be called. So once I double click on it, I will show you in debugger mode also. First let us write some code. Here you can see some few codes are already written, so we don't have to see, means we don't have to touch that code. Let it be. We will be writing our custom code. That the purpose of writing this code is we will be saving that particular sales order number in the database. So let me write some few codes and I will explain you with each line. So here what I am doing, first I'm just reading. Okay, I have not read this. Let me see. So here what I'm doing, in this PS data structure, the value we are having, that sales order number, what we are having in that structure in the module pool, will get populated in this PS data structure. So that sales order number I will fetch from that structure, from that module pool form, and then that particular value I'm just populating in this LS sales, which is of type same as this table. And what I'm doing, I'm just modifying this data, this particular table from this sales order number from this work area. So in OK code, I'm reading the user command, which is sciucom. The value is getting populated in sciucom. So as I have written the function code as APRV, so the OK code will have the value as APRV, because if the person has clicked the button approve, then that particular OK code will have the function code which we have defined, and I have defined APRV as a function code. So here in OK code I will be having APRV. So I have written case where I have written as when APRV, then this saving should happen. So how I am saving it? I'm just modifying the database with this from this sales order number from this work area, and I'm just committing the work, and then I'm leaving the program. So once the person takes the action as approved, then he will get out of that particular screen. So now first I will show you how it behaves, and I will show you in debugger mode how it actually worked. So I have activated. Now activate the workflow. So it has got activated. Now I will execute it. So here as you can see, I will be providing the sales order number from this particular workflow itself, but in real time you can provide it through program as well. That like we will be writing one standard function module called start workflow, and there you can pass this particular Veblen number. I will be showing you how to pass this Veblen number from user exit as well, so that you can pass this Veblen to the container, and that particular value will get appear in the form, and that value which you have provided, once the sales order is approved by the manager or the partner of the company, then that sales order should get saved in the database. Suppose in the company this is the requirement, then you can go through this approach. Suppose I am giving the sales order number as 1234 and I am executing it. So going to the business workplace. In the workflow tab, you can see one work item saying display form. So if you double click on it, one form gets appear, and you can see 1 2 3 4, whatever you have provided in the structure, that particular value gets populated here, and this particular value is populating due to that PBO, and there we are having some import module import data. So that module import data, what it does, it takes the value from the structure from the container and populate it to the structure of the form. This is what PBO does. And what does PAI do? In PAI, the structure, the value which is present in the structure get passed to the container. So I'm just reading that structure value, and I'm just populating in that LS sales, and I'm just modifying the database from this LS sales. So this 1 2 3 4 I will be receiving in PAI. So once I click on this approve button, okay, let us put the debugger. How to put the debugger? You can see here, if you click on this form, go to the display mode, go to the flow logic, in export data. Okay, you can see it is in inactive state, so I think that's the reason it's not getting executed. Still I am just putting the debugger so that we can come to know what's happening. So put the session breakpoint. Now again go back. Activate it again. You need to activate the form. Now I'm executing it. So I have provided the value. Now I will go to the business workplace. In inbox, in workflow, okay, that has got actually executed. So again I will have to execute it. So once you click on this approve, I'm directly trying to click on that approve from the business. I'm not going to the business workplace, because once you execute it, by default that particular screen gets appear in the workflow builder. So let us see what we are having in this LS sales. Just click F5. You can see here in LS sales I'm having the value as 15678. Let us see what we have in OK code, APRV. So this case, okay, it has got into when, because this particular when has satisfied. Now it will modify the database, it will commit the work, and it will leave the program. So it has actually got executed. So now let us see the table, whether it has saved or not, whether the data was saved or not. 15678. You can see in database I'm having the value as 15678. So it has saved the data in the database. So once you clicked on that approve, that particular code, whatever we have written, has got executed, and that sales number, that sales document number has got saved in the database. So this can be the real-time scenario also. So you can just have this piece of code also there. So if you have not understood anything, just let me know. If you want me to explain again, I will be doing that. So anybody who have not understood this form? Today I'm not getting any reply from you people. Fine. So here, this is how the form, you can try it yourself, in fact, so that you can get, if you try it yourself, then only you will get more confidence of creating this form step, because in real time we use it. Many customer don't want that standard screen, rather they want the custom screen. So you can just define your custom screen according to the requirement. I have shown you how to design that, but if you if you want to design it more in a bigger way, you can design it. And if you want, I have also shown you how to interact with the database from this form. You can write some piece of code, and that particular piece of code will get executed. In fact, I have shown you how to debug the form as well. Yes, Hitesh?
Can we call a standard transaction from this form?
Sorry? Yeah, definitely you can do anything. You can
We
do
can call.
anything in this particular code. You can, do you know ABAP? Are you familiar with ABAP?
Yes.
So you can call,
Yeah.
that in this code PAI PBO, we can call anything. We can write anything logic. We can call function module. We can call business object method. We can call the transaction. So what will happen if you call the transaction? That particular transaction will get open. Do you want me to
Oh,
show
okay.
you? I can show you.
Yeah, just call BA01 or BA03
Okay,
or
fine, fine.
MM03.
I'm doing it. Okay, let me show you. Let me first check what is the parameter ID of that VH02. Okay, field. Fine. Now I will be calling the transaction. Suppose VA02. You have to activate it. Let's see if it doesn't work with this ls sales, then I will write Veblen, but I think it will work. Let's see. So the debugger is there. Now I will execute it. I hope I have activated the form again, otherwise it won't work. Let me check. Fine, it's activated. Now I will execute this particular workflow. Okay, I'm sorry. I think 5452 doesn't exist in this particular system. So let us execute it again. First, let me check which sales order is there in this system. Six one two seven. Okay. Okay. So let us see what we are having in LS sales. 6127. Mm, V02. Why it's not listed in transaction code? Let me see. Okay, I have given here as O, so that's the reason it was VAO2. Rather, it should be VA02. Activated. Now, I just want to see whether this form is activated or not. Before going back, you should actually activate this form. You can see here, I have called this transaction. This transaction has got opened. So Hitesh, is it clear?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Okay. So you can do anything according to the requirement. If you're familiar with ABAP, then it's really helpful for the workflow people. In fact, for the ABAPers, if they know workflow, they can integrate anything with this workflow and the ABAP. So it's a very good advantage to know both. So now I was trying what I was trying. Okay, let me see. I was okay. This form is clear. Uh, so if any doubt on this form. So now I will show you how to create this fork and this process control. Okay, so we are having steps. You can see here in this step types. I have explained activity, send me form, user decision, document from template, condition, multiple condition. So this event creator and wait for event, I will be discussing once I discuss this events. Container operation is discussed. Now I will discuss this process control and this fork, both. Okay. I will take one example and I will discuss both. So here I will be creating one workflow. So here first I will create one fork. Why we use this fork? Suppose there is a requirement to execute, or you need some parallel branching. You need that in one branch something should happen, in another branch something should happen simultaneously. The two branches should get executed simultaneously. Then you take the help of this fork. So in this fork, what happened, we give the in parallel branches, we give how many branches we want to be executed simultaneously, and in necessary branches, this is actually the end condition. Suppose I want that within those two steps only one step should get, means whenever at least one step is executed, the fork should end. It is, if I want that both steps should be executed, then only the fork should end, then I will be giving necessary branches as 2. If I want that any one of the step get executed and then I want that the fork should end, then I will give the necessary branches as 1. Otherwise, I can also create one new condition. You can see here in OR I am having one, click here to create new condition. So here I can create one new condition where you can, according to this condition, the fork will end. So this fork is basically used for the parallel branching, for parallel execution of the steps. So what I will be doing here, let's see with the example. I'm giving necessary branches as 1. It means that any one of the step out of these two, if it get executed, then this fork should end. So here you can see this fork has got appeared in the screen with two branching, first and second, and here you can see two, means you can see here one arrow is inserting and two arrow are coming out. So it means two branching is there, that's the reason 2. And here you can see two branching and then one out, one two in and one out. It means that any one of the step if get executed, then this particular fork will end. So I will be defining any step. You can define multiple step within this fork. It's not that only one step you can define because only one block is present there. You can define multiple steps. So I'm just creating one user decision step. This I'm writing it as step 1. And in another branch, again I'm creating one user decision step as step 2. So I have got two branches with two user decision step in this particular fork. So now what I will first save it. Give the abbreviation. Save it as local object. So what I did, if any of the step I execute, either step 1 or step 2, the fork will end. Let's see. Activate it. Okay, it's activated. Now I will execute. I will show you from the business workplace. So I'm just disconnecting it, means cancelling that particular things. So going to the business workplace, in inbox, in workflow tab, you can see I have received two work item. How I have received two work item? Because both step has got executed in parallel. Only when I have executed step 1, the step 2 would have got executed. But since I have defined this fork, so this both step has actually got executed in parallel. So I have received two work items. So now what I will do, I will execute only one work item and we'll see whether the workflow has got completed or not, because I have defined necessary branches as 1. The end condition was 1. So out of 2, any one of them get executed, then the fork will end. Suppose I'm executing step 1. You can see here, once I clicked on refresh, step 2 got disappear from the inbox of the user. I haven't executed step 2, I have executed only step 1. Then how come step 2 got disappear from the inbox of the user? Can anybody tell me, or any guesses? Yes, Hitesh?
Yeah, because of we have used the fork steps in the workflow. That's why.
Do you want to say that fork has got
Executed.
okay? So what happened? Like fork got executed, fine.
Both the steps get executed parallel. Uh,
No. I have executed step 1. So step 2 was in fact lying in my inbox of the user. So as whatever we have defined in the workflow, you would have seen. And let me take you to the workflow first. Then only you will be able to understand. See, this step 1 I have executed. The step 2 was lying. So I have executed this step 1. So the fork got completed and the workflow got completed. You can see here the workflow got completed. Therefore, this step 2 also got disappeared from the inbox of the user. So out of this 2 step, actually the fork has got completed first, and that's the reason this steps got completed automatically and then the workflow got completed. So this particular step 2 got disappeared from the inbox of the user. So any one of the execution out of these 2 if you take, then this particular fork will get completed. So you were partially correct, Hitesh, but since just to make it more clear, this step, if it's if you define this necessary branches as 2, then these both 2 steps should get executed, then only this fork will get executed. Let us try that again. I have defined this necessary branches as 2. Going to business workplace. On step 1 and step 2 is lying in the inbox of the user. If I take the action, you can see step 2 has not got disappeared from the inbox of the user, because step 2 should also get executed to complete the fork. So once I click on this step 2 as well, then the fork will get completed and the workflow will get completed. So you can see step 2 got disappeared. Now I will take you to the log so that you can come to know what happened. I have defined necessary branches as 2, so both steps should get executed. Click on log, click on this table button, click on Control P, go to the graphic. You can see both step got executed, then this for got executed. The green line actually says how this workflow actually has got executed. Now I will see the previous one, okay, previous log, in which the necessary branches was 1. Here the necessary branches was 2. I think this one it is. You can see here, first this step 1 was completed by me, this LKDA completed, and the second was the status, you can see, logically deleted. So this particular step was logically deleted because I have defined this necessary branches as 1. So that's the reason it has got deleted and it has got disappeared from the inbox of the user. So somebody was asking me about this status also. You can see here the status logically deleted, the status of this particular work item. So suppose we have this necessary branches as 2 and we are having 2 steps, but I want that whenever this particular step 1 get executed, the step 2 should also get executed. So how I will do that? Let us see how I will do that. I will take the help of process control step. This process control is responsible to complete the workflow in between. Suppose something has went wrong and you want, means you have designed your workflow in such a manner that there is a requirement that whenever, suppose there is a 3 level of approver, and whenever first level or second level, suppose DFM of the company see that particular sales document number, and if he approves, then the workflow should get completed. So what, and the work item which are present in others inbox should also get removed. So you will take the help of process control step. This process control is actually responsible for completing the workflow in between. So here in the workflow, I will be creating one process control step. Hitesh, you can lower the hands if you don't have any questions. Thank you. So now here I'm taking the help of this process control step. Complete. I'm selecting as complete workflow. I've selected function as complete workflow. So what it will do, once this step 1 has got executed, then that the workflow will get complete, and whatever work items are pending with the users will get logically deleted. So since the necessary branches was 2, so both the steps should get executed to complete the fork, but I want in between, ad hoc, like if you want in ad hoc manner to complete the workflow, sometimes there comes the requirement. So you should know how this process control step is used. So I'm just taking this simple example to give you the clear picture. So here, as the necessary branches was 2, so let us see the necessary branches is 2 or not. Yeah, it's 2. So both steps should get executed according to the fork, but I have created one process control step, and whenever I execute this step 1, this process control step will get executed, and this particular work item is pending with the user. This particular work item will get logically deleted, the status will be logically deleted, and the workflow will get completed. This work item will get disappear from the inbox of the user. So let's see. Activated. Going to the business workplace. In the inbox, you can see two work items we have received. First one is step 1 and another one is step 2. So as I have defined that whenever step 1 get executed, that process control step will get executed, and the step 2 will get logically deleted and will get disappear from the inbox of the user. So it has got disappeared from the inbox of the user. Let's see the log. What has actually happened? Just I've refreshed the log and I've selected the latest one. Okay, from outside only, let me show you. Let us see here. First, this step 1 was completed. You can see here the status is completed, and step 2 was logically deleted. So once the status comes out to be logically deleted, that particular work item get disappear from the inbox of the user. So let's see the graphic. You can see the logically deleted one has the symbol as fully transparent. The box is fully transparent. Now see the log, see the graphic, the green line. So you can see first step 1 was executed. So once that process control step was encountered, then that particular step 2, which was lying under the inbox of the user, got logically deleted, and that particular work item got disappear from the inbox of the user. So this is how process control step works. Any doubt on this? Fine. So I will be showing you as we have seen the send notification. I will be showing you how you can send notification through program using the standard function module, send notification API. One standard function module is provided by SAP, through which you can send the notification to the users, send the mail to the user as well. If actually we are taking the help of this send notification function module because in a company we don't actually work with one state or one country, rather we work with number of countries and companies. So it may happen that you want to send the notification in their language. So and through this send mail step we cannot do that. We cannot there is no option called internationalization. So in this function module, actually what we will be doing, we will be maintaining some standard text in different languages, and in that language that particular message will be sent to the users. So this is why we use this standard function module to send the notification. The messages will be country dependent. So the person whoever log into the in the respective language will receive the messages in their language. So this is called internationalization, which is provided in workflow with the help of this standard function module. You can just write that particular code, some few code, to send the notification to the users. So this I will be showing you tomorrow. Send notification. Rest we will be seeing if there some steps have left. We will be seeing as much I have covered the steps. So from the next week we will be discussing on agents. The full week we will be discussing on agents and how to populate dynamically the agents, the possible agents, responsible agents, rules, how to populate the data through how to populate the agents through rules, as well as org structure, full HR org structure, position, job, work center, org unit, how to assign agents, how to dynamically send the items to the agents, everything about agents. So till this, any doubt on this particular step types? Fine guys, then see you tomorrow. I'm stopping the recording.
Get to know the failed work items list. Like if I have a workflow number with me, so I just want to know what are all the failed work items, error of work
Definitely,
items
definitely.
in that workflow.
Okay. We have one transaction called SWI2FREQ. Okay. This all this transaction I will be discussing once I go through this workflow troubleshooting and debugging. So let me show you again. Suppose you want to see for a particular task, you can give the task number, and if you want to see only dialog work item and also you want to see for the time interval, you can just give all these particular filter values, and once you execute it, all the work items will get appear. These are all the dialog work item, and this particular, if you give the task, in fact task number, then that particular task number associated, the work item which are associated with this particular task number will get appear here. There. Now if you double click on it, it will take you to the log, and from there you can diagnose the workflow. Okay, if you want to see the log, you can see from this particular icon, and here it will take you to the log. So from here also you can navigate it. Also we have an option in SWIA. There also we can just give the task number. You don't give the workflow number, rather you can give the task number of the dialog task, or also you can give the work.
In SWI2 specifically, can we get only error out work items?
In which SWI2? This transaction?
Yeah, that what you have shown as like
SWI2 underscore FREQ. No, it's not nothing like that. You can see any work item. Any work item.
No, my query is I need to only get the error of work items, and I need to send that error work items to the respective people to notifications.
What happens? What happens in SWU3? This configuration is done. Whenever the workflow gets into error state, the person who is being defined in SWU3 receives the notification that this particular workflow has got into error state. So whoever is maintained as a workflow system administrator here will receive the notification that this particular workflow has got into error state. In workflow debugging and troubleshooting, I will be showing you how to get this error workflows, how to send notification, everything. That will be.
If you want to specifically set some particular users, when work items get errored out, is there any possibility we need to develop any custom code for that one?
Yeah, you have to actually.
or is there any possibility to customizing?
You can either see if you want to send some users according to you, then you will have to definitely do the agent assignments for that particular step. You will have to make one send notification step, one activity where you will be calling one standard function module, and there you will have to provide the list of users who will be receiving that particular messages once the workflow get into error state. So if you want to customize the agents, then you will have to definitely build one activity step, and there you will have to write some few code.
Okay, okay.
So
Do you know the function module name for that
yeah,
one?
tomorrow I will be discussing everything. Tomorrow I told you that I will be discussing how to send the notification, so you can take the help of that
Okay.
particular function module. I will be in fact showing you how to list the receivers. You can list the receivers also and can send that notification. So you can take the help of that particular function module.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Hitesh? Hitesh, you are not audible actually. You can write the questions. I will take that. Hello? Okay. So I was showing you this document from template. Before creating the document from template step, you will have to first save it. Just give the abbreviation. I have saved it. Now I will right click on it and choose this document from template step. So in step name, I'm just writing this, anything you can give. Now in document template, we have one create button. So just click on that create button. You can see here in left side we will be having one workflow in workflow container elements, and in the right side we will be having one Excel sheet. If you don't want to go with this Excel sheet, then in above you will be having one button called change document class. So here uh, if you click on yes, you can see we are having number of options. You can in fact have a word. So I've just selected this Excel only. So now what I will be doing, I will be populating some dynamic value. So I have populated this workflow initiator. What will happen at run? Hi, then this workflow initiator. Okay, let me take back. Let me create the form again. So here you can write anything as well. You can bind it with this workflow container elements. If you have the custom workflow container elements, you can do that. Just save it. Give the document number. So once you have saved, You can see one document has been created, and then in expression I'm selecting as workflow initiator. I'm just entering on it. I'm clicking on the screen button and activating it. So it has got activated. Now I will test. Go back. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to show you through Business Workplace. You can see here one work item got appear, create document from template. If you double click on it, one Excel sheet would be attached with this particular work item. You can see the Excel sheet comes here, and the runtime value US LKDA, which I have populated as workflow initiator. So it has come high US LKDA. So this is how the runtime values get populated. In fact, you can change here, and you can save it. You can go out. So I have saved it, and if I want to see the changes, going to SWIA, I'm going to the technical log. Okay. Just select this container. In this document, right click, call default method. You can see the changes what I have done has got appeared here. So if you want to attach some Excel sheet, some Word document with the work item and want to send to some user, then you can do it through document from template. Any doubt on this, Rajesh? Rajesh,
No doubt. Yeah, I got the thing.
okay.
Thank
So now, Venkat, do you have any question? Shall I take the questions? Or you have not lowered your hands? Okay, okay. Okay, so see you tomorrow, guys. I will discuss this send notification, how to send it through function module. Yes, Hitesh? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can
Hello?
hear you. Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. I have designed a workflow in my client system,
Okay.
and it's giving me an error, but I'm not able to resolve that error. It's simple
What is that error?
simple workflow. How to? I couldn't understand that error actually.
You just tell me what's the error. Means once where in SWIA you got to know that error? In SWIA
Yeah.
only you got to know that the workflow is in error state?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So how you can see the error? Let me tell you. If you double click on it and go to the log, showing here in error state? The red symbol? Is it showing that?
Right.
So once you click
Yeah.
on it, if it is showing in error, then this particular state will be showing you error. Then double click on it and see what's that error.
Okay, I'll send you the screenshot then. Wow.
Okay. Also send me that particular workflow screenshot what you have built.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
workflow
simple, like
screenshot.
yeah, it's the same
Maybe you would have
workflow.
done.
First using the class, there's activity, and then you updating the table. That's first
Okay,
scenario.
okay. You just send me, and also you send me the container elements binding. Okay.
Or if you have minutes, I can share my screen and you can look into that.
Okay, share. Okay, share now.
Give me a few minutes. Let me get to the system. 1 minute. And another thing is like I'm not able to see the graphical screen. When I click on graphic, it won't come up on my company system.
Actually, the thing is, if you would have done in the same system, I would have checked everything, but I don't think I would be able to see your system. So you can either send me the screen. If you send me the screenshot, I think I can figure it out. No problem with that. You can just send me the screenshot. First, let me see what went wrong. If I'm not able to understand, then we will share the screen. Okay, Hitesh?
Okay, that's fine. No problem.
Okay, just send me the workflow screenshot as well as the error screenshot. Okay, what's the error? That error I just want to see.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you email me? I don't have your email ID.
Sorry,
I don't have your email ID.
I have sent you tomorrow the mail.
Yesterday, from yesterday?
Sorry, yesterday.
No, I didn't receive it.
You didn't receive?
So,
Okay.
my email?
Yeah, I have sent everybody. Yesterday I have sent for this today's class that we will be having class today.
No, I did not receive it.
Okay, okay. Just write it Lakshmi
That's
LAXMI KD 26.
what is that?
LAXMI KD 26 at the rate of gmail.com. Let me write it.
Okay, I typed it.
I have sent you.
Yeah, Lakshmi KD 26. Okay.
Okay. So see you tomorrow, guys. Bye bye.